Okay, so you probably guessed it. The task for this section is to create the melody for this beat. Really the task is to create the main loop all together. So putting this thing together and writing the melody on top of it, which we're going to do right now. So if we're going to write a melody, we need a sound. So we learned how to create tracks in the last video. I'm going to come into Browse and I'm going to grab, for this beat, I'm kind of thinking I want like a real instrument. So I'm going to go to Presence and drag this over here. Close my browser for now. And now where to find presets? A preset is basically a sound. Well, presets are up here. In all the instruments, you can find it up here. You'll see this little default and a drop-down menu. And this gives us access to all of the sounds or presets built into whatever instrument we're using. So my first feeling is that I'm looking for maybe like a flute kind of sound. So that's going to be in the winds. And we've got a concert flute. So why don't I just try this one and see. Quite like that. Okay. Now, once you got your instrument chosen, and we will probably end up using multiple instruments, but we'll start with one. We've got to remember that this song is in the key of C major. So that's all the white keys on the piano. So I'm just going to be playing some white keys here and trying something out. What I'm going to do is just play the loop and start experimenting over top, like we did in the previous one. Now I want to reiterate that it's important to take your time, be careful, like experiment and go crazy, try things. But when it comes time to recording the melody you want, make sure it sounds the way you want it to. Don't just pick something just because it was the first thing you played. If it doesn't sound that nice, it probably isn't that nice. Try a little longer. Think about it. I'll talk about some ideas as I go here. So I'm going to start playing the loop. So the first idea I want to talk about for writing melodies is call and response. This means I play something and then I respond to it with the next part of the melody, maybe like goes up and down, or as a little like a conversation. Something said, the melody says one thing, then it says something else. It says one thing, says something else. This is one way to go about writing melodies. We want to make sure that the melody is easy to hum and easy to remember. A good melody is something that's going to get stuck in your head, right? So I'm just going. There's no way that anyone can remember that or hum it to themselves. So not too fast, it doesn't have to be slow, it can have fast notes in it, but something that is enjoyable to sing or enjoyable to think about or hum, that's a quality of a good melody. So let's try some more things here. So I'm hearing some things I like. Try to start forming it into something that can repeat over and over again. Like this first note. you can see I keep repeating the same first part. Once I find something I like, I'm going to keep that in my mind, and then I'm going to start adding to it the next time it goes around. Or if that's difficult, I can just record just the first part of it, and then I can start adding to it. I'll give an example of that. So I'm going to push record as it's going. Let's say I just have that. I push record and stop it. I didn't actually like this kind of last note I had going on here, so I'm going to go into my MIDI editor. I got that by double clicking it. That sounds a bit better. So I'm going to drag this note down to here. And then I can hear, I actually want it to go here maybe. So maybe, no, right here. Yeah, I like that. So from the start, we've got. Now let it play. Then I just try something. I notice that some notes aren't going to sit very nicely. That one feels kind of weird if I hold it right. Even though it's part of the C major scale, technically it's part of the scale, but that doesn't mean it's going to sound great in that particular moment. There, it sounds okay. Over certain chords it will sound right, and certain chords it might clash a little bit. See if I can repeat it. A little bit different. That's the one. I actually don't need these last notes, I don't think. Now notice that some of the notes, if I hit it hard, because that was called overblowing and soft. So if you're using the QWERTY keyboard, you may not know that's possible unless you move the velocity slider around. So once I've got my performance done and recorded, I'm going to come down to where it says velocity here and start tweaking these. Now, because I'm playing a real instrument, I haven't quantized this, and I played it pretty well. Like, the notes are pretty much on the beat almost the whole time. So if something was really off, like these guys are actually a little bit off here, I'm probably gonna drag them over to be closer on time, but I don't really need to quantize this performance. Oftentimes with real instruments, it's better to not quantize it because it'll sound too robotic, like it couldn't be real, you know, like a real player wouldn't do that. So I'm gonna listen to each note and decide how hard do I want that to be played? What velocity should it be played at? This one could even be softer. This one could be harder. Yeah, I like that. And I like these. They're really soft, possibly too soft. I'm going to move them over so they're a little bit closer to the grid like this. That's nice. They go a little bit higher on the velocity. Yeah, and I'm going to drag it. This one's a bit late too, so let's bring them like this. And I'm going to make these meet. So like the ends of them line up with the beginnings of the next one, so that it's not so what's called staccato, where the notes are separated, but they're actually touching one another. That's better. I really like this one with the overblow on it. Now this maybe is a little bit, could be softer. Yeah, This is a bit early. And this could even just, oops, hold for a little bit longer. A little bit too long, maybe. Now, I'm gonna use my mod wheel and see what that does. Oop, that's the pitch bend wheel. Get a bit of a vibrato. So I'm gonna put that on this last note. Now, since I recorded that on my mod wheel, that's my modulation down here. I'm gonna look at the modulation, and here is what I recorded. So I want that to hold like it's doing. It ramps up slowly, and you can hear it. I'm talking about the wavering. Ooh. And then I want to take it back down to 0 once it's done its thing. Now, if this part's confusing to you, feel free to experiment and try it out and see what's going on. And if not, we're definitely going to be talking about it in depth in the future. But just so you know, this is a possibility. Let's hear the whole melody. I'm going to put vibrato on that first note, actually. So I've got a few ramps here. So I'm satisfied with that melody. The beat feels pretty complete right now. Once we get into the mixing part and we learn about reverb and delay, this is all going to sound even way better and start to like feel fleshed out, like it's a real song. So now I've got this melody. What I would encourage you to do is mute this, create a new track, and create a whole new melody with a whole different sound, or even the same sound if you want. Do it a few times. Again, be careful, as in take care. Be discerning in what you're doing. Make decisions about, is this really what I want? Come up with a few really nice melodies. Then once you've got a few of them to choose from, you really have a large palette of things to expand your song with. So you could even duplicate this whole loop. If I push D, get rid of this melody, and then come over here, I'm pushing Shift P to put my loop around like this, and then start working on a new melody, even with the same sound or a different sound right here. So I have two that can come in and out. So having two melodies, maybe even three, is a good idea, so long as they kind of complement one another and they feel nice together. Then we can expand that out into a full song really easily. So I'm not going to go through all that right now, but that's something that you can do during the task, and I'm going to do it on my own time, and then I'll come back to you with the finished song that you can check out as well. So the full task is to complete this main loop. That's including the melody. Get all these elements put in there and just go crazy and experiment and try things, but at the same time be discerning about, does this really sound good? Is it too busy? Is it too empty? Think about these things. Do I have all the elements? The drums, percussion, bass, chords, melody. Once you've got that, maybe duplicate the loop and try another melody with a different sound or the same sound. You can even try putting two melodies together so long as they don't clash and they're not too busy fighting for attention, this kind of thing. Just try things out. Once you've got this going on, that's the end of the task, and then the next section will be about how to explode this into a full song, which will be really exciting.